A Merry Christmas to all as we welcome you into Littlejohn Coliseum. And here on the ACC Network, the Clemson Tigers play their final non-conference battle of the season against Louisiana. It's a matchup of 10-win teams. Hi, everybody, with Jim Davis, Pete Hannity with you. We've got quite a battle in store here today. Louisiana, a very tough out for many teams so far this season.
They really are. And got two very, very athletic bigs in there right now. And Coach Brownell's starting Donnell instead of Elijah Thomas, so it ought to be interesting.
And let's give you the starting fives. First off, Louisiana featuring Marcus Stroman, the former South Carolina player, their point guard, averaging nearly 6 assists per game. As for the Clemson Tigers, speaking of guards, what a week it's been for Marquise Reed. He reached 1,000 points last Saturday down at Florida. Then, of course, was named ACC Player of the Week. Followed that up with a career-high Tuesday night against South Carolina.
Big shot after big shot against South Carolina. 3-pointers and taking it to the basket.
25 points in that ball game for a Tiger team that comes in averaging nearly 78. Louisiana averaging nearly 90 points a game as we tip it off here in Littlejohn. Speaking of 1,000-point scorers, we'll be keeping an eye on Dante Grantham's progress today. He is 9 shy of that milestone. So how about that? In the span of less than a week, you could have 2 Tigers reach 1,000 in their career. Reed with the ball has now scored 500 as a Tiger, and a quick rejection inside by Malik Marquette.
500 as a Tiger. Marquise going to the basket there. Marquette was timed it perfectly, got the block.
Tigers trying to wrap up non-conference play with one of their better records of all time against non-ACC foes before conference play begins a week from Saturday. Shot clock didn't reset. DeVoe beats the buzzer.
Beats the buzzer and almost got a foul. Could very easily have been a foul called on Marquette.
38% from long range for Gabe DeVoe, the Tigers senior, the early lead. There's one of their transfers and their top player who just had the ball, Jakeenan Gant. And driving inside is Stroman. He can't get that one to fall.
One thing that's been impressive about this Clemson team, Pete, is they are rebounding by committee. Those guards for Clemson, Marquise Reed in particular, Gabe DeVoe, they're doing a great job rebounding.
Other night, Tigers made 20 field goals. 8 of them were 3-pointers. DeVoe has them off on a good start toward that end again. Dante Grantham, as you saw, going inside. And let's just say that Bryce Washington got his money worth on the first foul on either team. And Dante Grantham coming in at 76% and an early 5-0 lead for the Tigers.
Not only is Clemson shooting a good percentage from the free throw line, but they get there a lot, Pete. That's very important. Over 21 times a game, they'll get to the free throw line so far.
Drive inside, ball knocked away from Gant. And the coaches in the ball game, Bob Marlin, like Brad Brownell in his 8th season guiding Louisiana, and overall he's in his 20th as a coach. He has 363 career wins. As Louisiana coming up on 10 on the shot clock. Frank Bartley, the senior out of Baton Rouge, who began his career at BYU. That's him out high. Feed inside, and Washington coming into the ball game, averaging a double-double, gets the first field goal for this Louisiana team.
The help side was a little late getting there, Pete. They did a good job with the pick and roll, Louisiana did.
Reed, elbow. And he gets the rattle on the roll. So Marquise Reed, who has had himself quite the run and comes in now in the team lead in scoring at nearly 16 a game. And the Tigers built the lead back out to 5. Oh, and that time a good job by Bartley to induce the foul in the first in the ball game against Clemson as it goes against Gabe DeVoe.
Good job on the pick and roll right there. Reed was just a little late with that low hard power dribble.
And Bryce Washington made the bucket there. Here is Bartley among their top scorers. He averages 15 and a half a game, 78% from the line, best on their team. Gets his first point of the day. As we told you, native of their state capital in Baton Rouge. His career began at BYU, and again, one of 4 D1 transfers in their lineup who sees regular action or starts, and the other 3 guys come from Power 5 school. This is a very good team that this season owns a win against Iowa at a tournament down in the Cayman Islands. They opened the season playing tough against Ole Miss and then just kind of had things go south on them as that game went on. And a nice drive inside Mitchell, but rejected, and that is what Jakeenan Gant does. Came in with 28 blocks on the year. Other end. And I believe a foul. I don't know. No, it wasn't a foul call, but a stop and play, and that'll give the opportunity for Elijah Thomas to be inserted in place of Mark Donnell, who, remember, Donnell started the opener against Western Carolina, got the start today, as you noted. And David Scara about to check in. We are quite confused as to what our officiating crew said here and why play needed to be stopped. And the ball remains on Louisiana's end. I don't know if there was an inadvertent whistle, perhaps.
They were out there mopping the floor for perspiration, so, but you certainly don't stop the flow of play for that.
1-point game after the teardrop by Bartley.
Well, Elijah Thomas played so well against South Carolina in the outing Tuesday night. Didn't score, but he was tremendous on defense.
Reed thought he had it, but there is Marchetti. Oh, and a follow by Jakeenan Gant. The throwdown and a first lead change here in the early going. They were resetting the shot clock is why they stopped play. Scara, his first game for the Tigers down in Florida last week. Good job to save it by Grantham, but to the wrong team. Here comes Stroman. Tigers in a man-to-man. The other night, Brad Brownell says they played no zone against South Carolina. Decided man-to-man was the way to go and proved to be right, holding the Gamecocks under 50 points. And we'll get an offensive foul, the illegal screen, and they're going to go ahead and get Bryce Washington. That's a big note as Bryce Washington promptly picks up his second personal foul. Both fouls against Louisiana are against Washington. So Brad Brownell, we'll talk more about what he's achieved of late. Today he's going for his 135th win at the helm of the Tigers, and of course has his team rolling along on a 6-game winning streak and with really nice looking resume even before they get to ACC play. Some of these non-conference wins that the Tigers have been able to accumulate. Today would be a very solid win against a team that's made some noise so far, and Grantham will head to the line for an opportunity at a 3-point play on the other side of this official timeout. Well, we've told you Lafayette is an athletic bunch. Jakeenan Gant is prime example of that. They trail by a point here early on. Tigers have retaken the lead, and Dante Grantham will have a chance to add to it at the free throw line as we welcome you back into Littlejohn Coliseum. And again, hope this Christmas weekend is off on the right foot with Jim Davis, Pete Hannity with you. Tigers have to be on their game today. Louisiana, the only Division I team in the nation in the top 20 in points per game, rebounds per game, and assists per game.
Averaging over 88 points a game, while Clemson's holding their opponents to just over 62 a game. So something's got to give, Pete.
And Dante Grantham off to a good start in a day that began with him needing 9 points to get to 1,000. Well, he's more than halfway there. 5 early points for the Tigers senior out of Martinsburg, West Virginia.
He only had 7 the other night against the Gamecocks, and so he's looking to bounce back offensively.
Elijah Thomas coming up with another block, now 25 on the year for the Tigers big man. Just into the game with the ball, Justin Miller. Bartley shedding Scara. Miller partially blocked there by Thomas, so 2 blocks by Elijah Thomas in that sequence, and a shot clock violation against Louisiana. Take another look at that. Good defense.
Great timing, stayed low, kept his feet under him. That was a great job. Very athletic block by Elijah. He's been doing that so well here lately.
Tigers jumped out to a 5-0 lead in this ball game. Skara, his first game in a Clemson uniform last Saturday down in Florida. He's really shown his defensive ability, but can score you some points too as Thomas backs in and can't get it good out over Miller.
Miller is a big body, big, strong. He and Washington both.
Marcus Stroman in his first year playing games for Louisiana after his first 2 years were spent at South Carolina. Another one of their transfers with the ball, Marquetti. He came from Southern Cal and he has it knocked away on his drive to the basket with 11 on the shot clock.
Another block by Skara. Skara is really helping this basketball team on the defensive end especially.
Skara already 8 blocks in his first 2 games in a Clemson uniform against SEC teams, and he got another one right there. Cedric Russell just checked in. Gets it to Miller. Marquetti to beat the shot clock. Oh, and Gant doing a good job, but he batted it out to Mitchell. From the elbow, Shelton Mitchell. At 12.4 a game as the day begins, and the Tigers build the lead back out to 4.
Both teams doing a great job of defensive transition, Pete. The only fast break basket they got, I think, was off the steal there.
Like Miller might have gotten away with a walk right there. Thomas, a nice job defensively. Reed. Skara for a tray, and he knocks one down just like he did early on to set a good tone against South Carolina. And David Skara now 2 out of 3 from long range.
I think you're going to see his minutes continue to climb.
Transfer out of Valparaiso, giving the Tigers their biggest lead of the afternoon so far at 7 in a 15-8 ball game with 13:44 to go here in the opening half. Take a look at those last 2 Clemson baskets, and you see the ability of the Tigers to do lots of things when they've got the ball.
Well, with that 3-guard offense, Pete, you know, they can distribute the ball very well. They very few turnovers for this basketball team. They take care of the basketball. They don't beat themselves.
Tigers on an 8-0 run, and they've held Louisiana to no points in 3 minutes and 9 seconds, so getting it done on both ends of the court. And as you noted, you got a Louisiana team that 3 times this year has exceeded 100 points. A Clemson team that, you know, really fully in their second year of being a transition ball club. Last year defensively, let's face it, the D probably never caught up to where they wanted to. Brad Brownell and crew, though, they've gotten the defense now back to their standards of keeping teams in the low 60s.
You are exactly right, and you can tell it really bothers them when they give up a layup. A team that makes them earn everything they get.
And we saw the defense and then the foul.
That's the thing about David Skara coming into the game. That guy's 6'7". You might not notice that to begin with, but he's 6'7". He gives them a tremendous rebounding boost.
They got Justin Miller for the personal. Four on the Louisiana team, and Miller that time called for the personal foul. That was his first. Reminder, their starter Washington already has 2. Their starting center in the travel that time, so the Tigers giving it up. Clemson coming in, turning it over about 13 times a game. Louisiana forces about 17 a game, so that could be a big story as we progress here this afternoon.
You're right. That was an
early 3rd turnover for this Tiger team. Marquetti feeds underneath the finish, and a good job down low by Lorenz Stalcup, who just checked in. They'll play about 10 guys for these Raging Cajuns. And scrapping for it. And the arrow pointing Louisiana's way, so they'll get it back there, forcing the Tigers to give it up again.
That's another turnover. Great job getting it down low. You can't allow the big men to get down low. And we had the point guard guarding him, trying to choke down on the dribble.
And then good quick hands that time by Stroman to induce the held ball.
I don't think Coach Brownell's really happy with Elijah putting the ball on the floor that far from the basket.
Skara defending Marquetti with the double team coming. Stalcup almost walked with it instead. Right wing, Cedric Russell can't get it to go. Battle, and Grantham tripped up, and they will get Marchetti with the personal.
That was a really good job by Clemson there, the scramble defense. A help came. They covered down low on the backside. Louisiana reversed the basketball. Good rebound coming from the backside.
Dante Grantham's been active so far. Reed will get a break, and you see the team fouls now beginning to build. Less than 8 minutes into this game. And already 5 against Louisiana, just 1 for Clemson. Dave DeVoe back out there. Mitchell. And Russell will be called for the foul. Would have counted had it gone. Instead, Shelton Mitchell headed the line at 79% of the season to shoot 2. You see, by the way, in your picture there on the replay, that they put Washington back in there. Bryce Washington, the senior leader. He stands to your left right there of the lane under those 2 quick fouls, but Bob Marlin, head coach of Louisiana, realizes he needs that inside presence against this physical Clemson team. Back out to a 7-point advantage, matching the largest lead so far for this Tiger Ball Club. Trying to drive, Bartley is fouled. And now Gabe DeVoe has 2 quick fouls. The only 2 on the Tigers so far, who enjoy a 7-point advantage. Been a week of milestones for this Tigers team, including for that guy, Brad Brownell. He may not look all that happy right there, but had a smile last Saturday down at Florida when he achieved win number 300 in his career, and then Tuesday night in a second straight victory against South Carolina, got number 301. The SEC doesn't like to see Brad Brownell, that's for sure. And keep in mind, all time, this Clemson program has 8 non-conference wins in the regular season against top 25 teams, and Brad Brownell owns nearly half of them with 3, and we'll talk more about that a little bit later on in the telecast, but he continues to do good work on the sidelines for a Tiger team that has a 7-point lead. And the shot clock has been a slight issue so far, and it is now being rectified by one of our officials, Jerry Heater.
Coach Brownell hangs his hat on the defense, Pete, and you're going to get consistency when you play defense.
Comes into Stallcup. And that is Russell out high running the show. They've got several guys, not just Stroman, who can distribute, as evidenced by the fact they average nearly 20 assists per game. Shot clock low once again. Bartley beat the buzzer, nothing but net. Good start for him. He scored half of their 12 points. It's back to a 5-point game. Freshman Amir Sims back on the floor. Scara for Grantham. Oh, almost went down. Would have put Dante within a point of 1,000, and a cheapie called against Mark Donnell. That'll be the first on Donnell. Check out the split of the double team here, Coach.
They did. Actually, Mark Donnell stepped out a little too far in Korea. He's responsible for not letting them split the double team like that. He's the help defender.
3 team fouls against Clemson. Stallcup thought about kicking it. And that time, look at the battle by Jonathan Stove to keep it alive. Washington can't finish off the nice feed from Russell. We got a new shot clock out of that. And Russell, one of the few freshmen who sees playing time for this team out of Alexandria, Louisiana. Restoring order. Five on the shot clock. And only catching the window was Jonathan Stove, who is now just 1 out of 12 on the season beyond the arc.
Stove is interesting, Pete. He's the 6th man for this basketball team and averaging in double figures.
Skara with Bartley defending. Mitchell. Boy, that little lefty runner is signature for him.
Teardrop, yes. He gets that deep. He likes to shoot that floater.
Stover just had the ball. He's kind of their glue guy, so is Bartley.
Clemson's doing a good job getting in the paint with the dribble penetration there. They're getting their shoulders by the defender and able to create.
They'll call that a 2 for Russell. Mitchell this time, and he was fouled, so another free throw opportunity for Mitchell. That goes against Cedric Russell. Look at the little teardrop runner. Boy, what touch.
Isn't that pretty? That's a thing of beauty. And then we had a double stagger for him there on the last one, and Louisiana committed a foul.
And that was the second on Russell. So Russell and Washington with 2 apiece, and Shelton Mitchell, one of the good free throw shooters for this Clemson team. 3 out of 3 so far today. And leads all scorers now with 7 points. You know, Brad Brownell was asked about how his team has continued to improve from the free throw line over the years. He goes, honestly, it's not coaching. We're simply recruiting better free throw shooters.
That's the best answer I could give too, Pete. You recruit shooters, and but the thing about Clemson is that's just as impressive is they get to the free throw line. They average over 21 free throws a game. That is a big, big plus for this team.
Mitchell gets a breather, goes to the bench with good work done so far. Thomas with the rejection, and then it'll be turned back over to the Tigers. How about Elijah Thomas recovering on that drive to the basket by Jerikas Davis?
That's a big-time block when you can block it and get the basketball back for your team. Slapping it off the Louisiana player there.
Tigers have doubled up Louisiana in that block category so far. Trying to take their biggest lead of the game. Sims, the big fella. Thomas! Wow, that's what he does. He can just battle inside. 9-point advantage. Biggest lead so far for Clemson.
Look at the double team help. Great job. Great defense.
That's the guy they want to get it to, the Missouri transfer Gannon, once again frustrated by this Clemson defense. You know, Dabo Sweeney this afternoon was asked how impressed he is with Clemson's basketball team, and he talked forever about intricately as if he was their coach, as much as he could talk about it, but he raved about how Elijah Thomas looks like a totally different player than a year ago, and I think most would agree.
I would agree, without a doubt. Coach Sweeney knows a little about basketball. He loves
second favorite
basketball.
sport, yeah. And look at Sims on the travel. So I think it's suffice it to say that for the most part, neither team is probably all that happy with their flow offensively.
Right. 5 turnovers for the Clemson Tigers here in the first 12 minutes, and I'm sure Coach Brownell is not happy with that. They only commit 12.7 a game.
Bartley. And we'll get Reed on the personal. And for Marquise Reed, his first. And now 4 on the Tiger team. Timeout here in Littlejohn. Clemson by 9. With Jim Davis, Pete Hannity with you back in Littlejohn Coliseum. A 9-point lead for the Tigers. Look at the students in the band doing their part as we roll into Christmas weekend. And Tigers doing a very solid job on both ends, particularly defensively. How about Elijah Thomas got 2 of their 4 blocks on one sequence?
2 of their 4 blocks. Elijah's been really, really solid on the defensive end. But last year, he seemed to always get in foul trouble with those blocks. Now he's being able to block the shot and avoid the foul. That's a great job.
Tigers trying to get to 11-1 on the season. Louisiana, they're experiencing one of the best starts in their program's history, the best since, in fact, the early 90s. They're trying to go into Sun Belt play at 11-2. And if they could come in here and steal one from an ACC team, they would add that to a victory over a Big Ten school who helped their RPI. Elijah Thomas and Clemson, meanwhile, with the resume they've already built, figure this Tiger team can win 8 or 9 at least in ACC play. They'll be a shoo-in for probably a 7 or 8 seed at the very least in the NCAA tourney, as Frank Bartley, who's been doing most of the scoring so far for Louisiana, 78% free throw shooter. This is a 2-shot situation. They actually reviewed to see if when Reed fouled him, he was in the act of shooting 3, and he brings his ball club back within 7.
Bartley, the second leading scorer, is averaging 78% from the free throw line. So good scorers know how to get to the free throw line first of all, and then they make them.
Scara and the Valparaiso transfer. I agree with you. His minutes will probably go up big time over this next couple of weeks span. Lid remains on that time, and here comes Louisiana trying to get as close as they've been in a while.
Marquise Reed's got to get untracked here for this basketball team.
Miller couldn't get the 3. He actually finished his high school career in the upstate of South Carolina, native of Kentucky, and the Tigers' Dante Grantham turning it over right there.
Let that dribble get a little too high up under the armpit there, and got called for the foul.
Tigers now with a half dozen turnovers. That's the guy they're going to. Just had the ball. Gant, but Clemson's done a nice job solving him so far. He tries again. There was Thomas.
Thomas didn't block it, Pete, but he certainly altered it.
Grantham 5 points so far, 4 away from 1,000, and an opportunity now to get a little bit closer. It's a bonus opportunity upcoming for Dante Grantham.
Great job getting his shoulders by that defender. And Gant comes in. Once you get your shoulders by him, there's nothing they can do except foul you, Pete.
Dante Grantham, you mentioned he only had about a half a dozen points the other night against South Carolina. There have been some games this year when he's put up the big numbers, other games where he's been relatively quiet offensively. Last year or prior, I think he would have panicked. Perhaps those around the program, or at least those who watch the program, may have. The way he has adjusted his game this season to fit Brad Brownell and all that they want to do, he doesn't have to be the leading scorer every night or even be close to them.
You know, we mentioned Coach Dabo Swinney earlier. Well, he got this slogan, best is the standard. Well, best defense is the standard for Coach Brownell, and Dante's really stepped it up on the defensive end as well.
Nice feed inside. Miller can finish, and they're going to get an offensive foul against Justin Miller. And that was a beautiful feed from Bartley inside, but they just can't finish.
And that was the help side coming from Dante, just on cue right there, Pete. Comes all the way across as a help side defender, goes straight up in the air, and Miller cleaned him out with that forearm.
And for Miller, that's his second personal. So they've got Russell, Miller, and Washington all with 3 fouls so far. Washington, a starter, their post player, he remains out there. That's him on the far side of the lane. Tigers are led by as many as 9 here in the opening half. Just 2 lead changes. Scara with the cup and the finish. And a 5-point afternoon so far for the Tiger transfer from Valparaiso, originally from Croatia. And we'll get a foul down low against Clemson.
Foul is called.
Elijah Thomas picking up his first. Check out David Scara with the move.
Little hesitation dribble there and blows right by Washington. Of course, Washington's having to play a little soft, being in foul trouble.
So Marcus Stroman, 71% this season, and South Carolina transfer with his first free throw attempt of the day. And Washington now will come out, and obviously they'll keep him out to the next official and maybe even until the second half.
I was talking with the Louisiana coaching staff earlier, and they say Stroman doesn't score a lot, but he really is a great passer and kind of is the glue that keeps this team together.
He is a pass-first guy, as we've told you, averaging 6 assists per game to obviously lead them. He had 7 in the ball game against New Orleans.
And Louisiana has gone to the matchup zone.
Mitchell shooting over it. Can't get it to fall that time. Stroman thought about dribbling past defenders.
This Clemson team is a streaky 3-point shooting team now. They get on a roll.
And once again, a foul away from the ball. This one on Lorenz Talcup. And the first on him, and now 10 against Louisiana.
Watch him. We tried to go one under the screen there, and he rolled back into the defender, Scara.
Thomas, little elbow action. And there's Bartley on the rebound.
Against the zone now, Pete, you can't fall in love with a jump shot.
Gant will try a three. And there's Thomas on the rebound. Keenan Gant came in averaging a double-double, but he has been quiet so far. He scored just 2 points. Well below his average of 17. Double team for Thomas. Couldn't finish, but Grantham does with a tap.
That was a great pass by Marquise Reed through the zone, first of all.
Dante Grantham is now one shy of getting to 1,000 in his career. He has 8 points so far this afternoon. And that matches him with Mitchell for the team leading the game. Gant this time from the baseline. He can't get it to fall. Tigers look to build on what is their largest lead of the game at 11. Reed, and he drains the tray. The lead is out to 14, and Marquise Reed at 40%, leading the Tiger team in three-pointers. And of course, he made 5 the other night against South Carolina in that second consecutive win over the Gamecocks. Tigers now 3 out of 7 from beyond the arc. And the answer that time, Bartley doing his best to keep his team in this game. He's the first double-digit scorer on either side, now with 11.
Bartley really does a good job with the shot fakes to create shots for himself.
Grantham for Mitchell. And the follow by Grantham, and what a way to get to 1,000 for Dante Grantham, 39th Tiger in program history. Give him 1,001 as he got 10 in the ball game so far.
The last 4 points coming off offensive rebounds and putbacks. That was a beautiful tap in there. Once again, great help side defense by Scara that time.
And Grantham turning it into the Dante show. They are loving what they're seeing. Timeout called by Bob Marlin. He's seen his team fall behind by 15, and Dante Grantham getting congratulations from Elijah Thomas and other Tigers. Over 1,000. Second time in a week the Tigers have celebrated a player achieving that in his career. Tigers rolling along here, and Dante Grantham celebrating Christmas a little early. Needed 9 points to get to 1,000. Right there, the putback and then the throwdown, and that's what put him over the magical milestone as the 39th Tiger all time to reach 1,000 points in his career, and joining his teammate Marquise Reed as active members of the Tigers squad now there. And again, in a season where, sure, Dante's scoring about 15 a game, but you haven't felt like every night he's got to give this ball club 15 or 20.
And that last dunk was a result of a great assist by Shelton Mitchell.
What a way to get there for Grantham. Changed his number this year from 15 to 32, and in many respects has changed a lot about his game.
I'm not sure Scara wants to tangle with Miller. That's a big body right there.
Bob Marlin, 8th season guiding the Raging Cajuns after a successful run at Sam Houston State, but this is not what he's become accustomed to. His team did struggle out of the gate the other night at home against Southeastern Louisiana, or Southeast Louisiana, but eventually went on to the win. Boy, Bartley has shown that's one of the things he does, and this time he will go to the line and shoot 3. Second time he has gotten Reed to buy that ball fake far from the basket.
Faking's forgotten fundamental.
So 3 free throws upcoming.
he almost jumps into you, but once again, you get good scorers know how to get to the free throw line.
And note with 2.5 minutes or so to go in this first half, we talked about it, Louisiana averaging nearly 90 points a game. Look at their total so far over the first 17 and a half minutes roughly of this game. They are well off their pace.
And the leading scorer, Jaqueline Gant, is averaging over 17 a game, and he has 2 at this point, Pete.
They've got 4 guys averaging in double figures in scoring, and this Tiger Ball Club has had great balance in scoring with 5 in double figures, led by Reed with 15 and a half, and then Grantham with 14 and a half. And that is a good player right there, originally from Baton Rouge, Frank Bartley. He now has 14 in the ball game. Grantham leads the Tigers with 12. And Bartley brings the Cajuns back within a 12-point deficit. Mitchell, that time going underneath. Gant, who can swat him away with the best.
Louisiana switched big on little there that time. It didn't matter.
Skara defending against the 6'3 Bartley. Now there's Marchetti, and Donnell the rebound.
Great job defending Skara there. He didn't fall for that fake that Bartley put on him.
Nice idea by Mitchell. And Donnell called for another foul, and on each, I think he'd be the first to say that he wasn't even aware he was making any contact, let alone that he tried to.
And ironically, he's got 2 fouls. Both of them occurred almost 90 feet from the basket, Pete.
Number 30,
and that's not a good way to make your coach happy.
So with 8 on the Tigers, a 1-and-1 opportunity upcoming for Stroman. Thomas will check back in. Of course, this Ragin' Cajun program, now known as Louisiana, previously known as Louisiana Lafayette, and once known as the University of Southwestern Louisiana. Down there in the part of the state that isn't all that far from the Gulf of Mexico and isn't all that far from the Texas state line. About an hour-and-a-half drive or so.
But they love that Ragin' Cajun nickname.
Yes, they do. Their home arena is known as the Cajun Dome, one of the cooler names you'll come across in all of college athletics. And they've got quite the following. They've got an arena that holds close to 13,000, and they'll get that thing close to capacity for some of their Sun Belt games. Skara. And they'll head to the line and try to build on his afternoon so far as he scored 5 points. So we noted that Bartley had been selling the pump fake on Reed, but look at Skara.
Stayed down. Good players do not, good defenders do not leave their feet out on the floor.
And on our Inside Clemson basketball program with Brad Brownell, we do various instruction and strategy segments, and one of those will be a drill that this Clemson team uses in one of the upcoming shows on how they actually coach, not being beaten by the ball fake, and also how to try to, if you're on offense, execute a good ball fake. And it's my obligation to tell you to check local listings in your area to see that show for time and channel.
I'll be watching.
And a rebound that time by Stove as Skara comes up empty. So it remains a 12-point game coming up on a minute to play in this opening half. And at halftime, we've got a neat look at what the Tiger basketball programs did for kids in the area this Christmas season. And wow, Stroman with a big rooting section behind us because he not only went to USC, but he comes from Columbia originally. Played at Keenan High. And Mitchell that time almost called for the palm and said Brad Brownell with a timeout to burn will go ahead and use it. But just like that, back to a 9-point deficit for the Ragin' Cajuns. And Marcus Stroman, 26% from downtown. He was way downtown right there.
And the freshman Amir Sims was just a little too far away from him. He was in a position to help, but wasn't close enough to close out.
I told you Louisiana among the national leaders in assists per game with nearly 20, but that was just the first assist they've had so far for this contest. as those kids can afford the calories, and you see a real good cheering section here, not only for Stroman, a lot of family and friends up from Columbia, but Gant, who started his career in Missouri but hails from the Atlanta area, also had folks who made the short drive up from the Georgia State Capitol.
Effingham County.
That's right, I'm sorry, from down in Effingham, down near Savannah. I said Atlanta, I meant to say from the Savannah area, but still not a bad drive at all. So he's got a lot of folks in watching him, about as close as he'll come, other than when they play one of their Sun Belt foes, Georgia Southern, on the road. Mitchell, Grantham, and Dante Grantham. He is having him a day just before Christmas. You know, he told me a while back that he loves Christmas. He goes home, they have all the traditions, make the cookies, but in a way he didn't want the Christmas break to come this year. He and the team are playing so well, he just wants to keep on going with the schedule. And an unforced error that time, and Russell having himself a rough afternoon. It gets a little worse. And how about Dante Grantham doing it all outside and inside?
Once again, great job by Shelton Mitchell of penetrating to the middle of the floor and kicking out to Grantham, and he buries it.
Dante, 15 points in the game, leads all scorers.
Last shot. And they may just let Grantham play one-on-one, flatten everybody out on the baseline. They do. No illegal screens now.
Thought about it and said, Skara. And another tray for the big man. And the Tigers head into halftime, matching their biggest lead of the game, and with big-time momentum, chasing win number 11 on the year. The Tigers this season 8-0 when leading at the break. Louisiana is 2-1 when trailing at the half.
You know, when you make shots beat, you look good. And Clemson's 5 of 10 from three-point range, so that's pretty stout.
Tigers have been unwrapping the gifts a little bit early on this Christmas weekend. Gifts delivered on both ends of the floor, and a milestone at that. Back with halftime after this. So the big fella's in the house, and I don't know if he's a Clemson fan or not. Let's just assume that he is. Has to be liking what he sees so far. A 15-point Clemson lead at the break. Jim Davis, Pete Hannity back with you, and among other things that bring to mind Christmas joy and festivity, that bow tie you're sporting today.
First of all, Pete, Santa is a Clemson fan. That's been determined many years ago.
Yep.
But Littlejohn Coliseum is rocking, exciting when the Tigers hit the floor, but it's even more exciting when Santa Claus shows up.
Let's take a look at our first half highlights. First off, for the visiting Ragin' Cajuns, they fell behind 5-0, but came back to take a brief lead. Showing you some D's, showing you a nice finish there by Bryce Washington.
Exactly. I'll tell you, this basketball team's got some offensive skills now. Gant he just hasn't been able to get on his
he's not gotten off the schneid. He did have that dunk, yeah.
But it hampered the foul trouble, really. They've got an awful lot of skill.
You saw Marcus Stroman, the three. You also saw Frank Bartley, who leads them with 14 points. As for the Tigers, getting it done defensively with their share of blocks. And how about David Skara coming off the bench, providing the good D, but also some scoring?
On both ends. Block, then gets the three down there off the good assist. Here he is again, the assist coming from Dante Grantham that time.
Skara, 8 points in the first half. The big story, though, Dante Grantham leads all scorers with 15, and during this game, he has reached 1,000 for his career. Shelton Mitchell, not bad either that time, cleaned up by Dante. Mitchell, the other Tiger in double figures with 10, but Grantham, with that emphatic jam, went over 1,000 points in his career. And Dante Grantham has led the way as the Tigers have built this decisive lead against a Ragin' Cajuns team that, as we told you, like Clemson, is 10 wins on the season, but Tigers have really disrupted their flow, as evidenced by that stat right there.
Well, no question. And the coaching staff before the game talked about how well they shared the ball and their ability to create shots off dribble penetration and kicks. But it just hadn't happened today, and you got to give Clemson's defense credit for that. And remember, they've done this without Clemson's done this without DeVoe in the game. He's only got 3 minutes in the game. Made that first three under pressure, and then he got the early 2 fouls.
Gabe DeVoe and Marquise Reed, the only Tigers besides Mark Donnell anywhere near any kind of foul issue. Mitchell looking to pick up where he left off in the opening half. As the Tigers have Grantham and Donnell with a couple of personals each, as well as Reed. At times, scrappy defense once again. Who else? Dante Grantham in the middle of it. Bob Thomas. General Jam did that a bunch the other night against South Carolina.
That Shelton Mitchell is just delivering the mail, Pete. That was a perfect lob pass, and that's the most difficult pass in basketball to complete.
Elijah Thomas really been heard from more on the defensive end today, but working on a solid afternoon. That was a second field goal. Tigers have now built their biggest lead of the ball game inside, and Gant denied. Doesn't happen often for the 6'8" native of Springfield, Georgia. Here's that play moments ago.
Yeah, first of all, Shelton Mitchell penetrated inside the arc there, but that's a great pass, and the help side came, but it was just too late. The catch was just as important. Caught the ball, kept it high away from the defense.
Washington trying for three, although he's 6'6", 255. He'll every so often step out.
Clemson trying to push it down the floor, up tempo a little bit.
So Mitchell was trying to call DeVoe over, but instead he'll look toward Thomas. The Tigers work perimeter, another feed to the big fella, and he'll be fouled from behind, and that'll be the third on Bryce Washington, the Louisiana starting center.
First of all, that's great ball movement. Great ball movement. Reversing the basketball, 3 passes, and then did a great job of sealing inside. Elijah did, had his man pinned, creating that passing lane.
Thomas 63% on free throws this year. That's his first attempt today, and that's up from 48% a year ago.
Improved in almost every area, Pete.
Two out of two for the big fella. He has scored all 4 Clemson points in the second half, and the lead extends out to 19.
Good defensive position by Marquise Reed.
Marchetti can't get that one to go. Louisiana now 2 out of 10 beyond the arc. They get the turnover. Stroman, little fancy, and then Marchetti with the dish, and Gant just his second field goal, but they hope that's a positive sign. Their first bucket here in half number 2.
Unselfishness on the part of the Louisiana team.
Grantham for Mitchell, and boy, aggressive play by a guy with 3 fouls on him, Washington, but it works out well.
Right. Well, they're trying to force it inside now, I think.
And Stroman that time almost had the ball pushed right back in his face. Mitchell will be called for the personal.
This Louisiana team's come out fired up, Pete. They are really aggressive. That should have been a lob pass up there. Elijah had the position on him, but Sheldon made the bad decision there.
I told you they force 17 turnovers a game, so they're used to playing aggressively. Not a 94-foot kind of defense, but you will see them turn that up. They frankly have to turn it up. They're going to get back in this game.
They're very athletic, Pete. I mean, really athletic.
2 out of 2 for Stroman, 71% on the season. And it's back to a 15-point game as Raging Cajuns have scored 4 straight. Bartley defending Defoe, and Tigers now with 5 in the shot clock.
They're ratcheting up the defense, aren't they? Well, as I said that.
Right down the chute for Shelton Mitchell. I think he was thinking teardrop, then he saw the opening. Mitchell now in the ball game with a dozen. And the answer on the other end. And a quick timeout called by Bob Marlin. Second one he's used. He has 2 left. Tigers have 3 timeouts remaining. We will take a break ourselves. 16:43 to go. Tigers rolling early here in the second half.
Can we have you read this promo about your game? Go ahead, give it a run.
New Year's Day, we'll have the college football playoff semifinals on ESPN. Number 3 Georgia and number 2 Oklahoma kick things off in the Rose Bowl game at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 Pacific from Pasadena. Then it's number 4 Alabama and number 1 Clemson in the All-State Sugar Bowl for the trifecta from the Superdome in New Orleans. Both games.
A reprisal by Dabo Swinney of his read the other night. We thought it deserved a cameo based on the fact that the coach, let's face it, gave it his own special touch. A little Keith Jackson, I believe, when he was identifying his alma mater and New Year's Day opponent.
As he always does, gives everything a special touch.
If he's watching, I don't know that he's in the arena, but he would be as impressed as he says he's been with this Tiger team so far as all have been, trying to get an 11th win in their 12th game and almost able to keep that possession alive. Cruising here against a very good team from the Sun Belt Conference. Stroman, and then underneath it goes, and a nice finish down low. And so Washington and company trying to heat up a little bit here.
4 of Louisiana's points have come off turnovers by Clemson, so Coach Brownell, I'm sure, is going to get that straightened out.
Reed from way downtown, just like he did the other night. And Marquise Reed hitting the 3-pointer. He's now 2 out of 3 beyond the arc in the game.
He can score in bunches, Pete. He can score in bunches.
Nice job by Dante Grantham that time. And we arrive at the under 16 official timeout. Marquise Reed coming into this ball game leading the team at 40% and probably leading the team in downtown bombs as well from way out there. Tigers have led by as many as 19, up by 16 here, looking to get win number 11 on the year. So last Saturday at Florida, that was the 8th time a Tiger team had won a regular season ball game against a non-conference top 25 opponent. And notice at the bottom, as we told you earlier, nearly half of those registered by Brad Brownell teams. It began back in 80-81 overall for the program. Indiana would win the national title that year. 2010, remember that Butler team made the Final Four, but Brad Brownell has gotten it done big time against ranked opponents, and of course, as we also talked about top of the telecast, 5 in a row against the SEC. So
5 in a row against the SEC, and not only can he coach, but he is a prince of a guy, Pete.
One heck of a guy indeed. DeVoe relatively quiet today, especially after that early 3-pointer. Look at the battle inside by Thomas, but Bartley comes out of there with him. Gant for Marchetti. And Malik Marchetti out of Compton, California. You got to watch out from him when he gets the ball beyond the arc. 50% from long range. And Louisiana's close as they've been in a while.
Good job by Gant. Not getting his scoring average there, but gave that ball up very unselfishly to Marchetti.
Thomas. No, but look inside the putback once again. Dante Grantham at 6'8" has been living around the rim today.
That's 3 tip-ins for him, I know. Might be more than that. Ooh, great defense, Gabe DeVoe.
Keep an eye on Bartley, who's off to a good start, and then the travel against Marchetti. I will say this, and again, I think give Clemson credit for the fact that they've got the comfortable lead right now and are doing a good job defensively, but looking at the athleticism of this Louisiana team, as we talked about, I'm stunned that they're picked only 5th in the Sun Belt. That tells me that must be one heck of a league. A conference that has the likes of Troy and a Texas Arlington team that many thought could make the NCAA tourney and get to the Sweet 16 last year.
And Little Rock's usually pretty solid.
Yep, the Arkansas schools, Little Rock and Arkansas State are the 2 that this Louisiana team opens up their conference play against next week on the road. But that's a league that now stretches from Myrtle Beach, where Coastal Carolina is located, all the way to San Marcos, Texas, and Texas State. And we're going to see the Columbia native Stroman go back to the free throw line.
That's Cliff Ellis, former Clemson coach in that league.
And back in the Sun Belt because he used to be there when he was at South Alabama. So he arrived back in the league with Coastal. You see Stroman, nice little pump fake. And Marquise Reed will probably be the first to tell you that's something he has not done well today is buying the fake. Although that close to the basket, you almost have to go up with it. As Stroman gets the roll. So Reed, with his third personal foul, will head to the bench. Stroman returning to his home state now in double figures, and that free throw gives him a dozen in the game. And Marcus Stroman came in averaging 6.5. Right behind us and right behind their bench, he's got the big cheering section up, the former Raider of Keenan High in Columbia before he began his collegiate career at USC.
Very quietly, they've cut this lead to 13, Pete. Nice job, Shelton Mitchell.
Thomas adding a little Christmas good cheer with that jam.
My timing's not real good.
Hey, that's okay, man. That's okay. But the thing about Mitchell is because of that ability to hit the teardrop, that little runner, you've got to go out and get him. As that time Bartley can't get it to go, and Thomas wins the rebound battle. And boy, an offensive foul right there. And honestly, Bill Covington might have just as well held the whistle because that's a tough situation for both players.
Yeah, no doubt
about it. The action's going so fast.
Well, couldn't make a better decision on the outlet pass there. He threw the outlet there, and he had a guard down here in the corner. Better than throwing it to Grantham.
And just the first personal foul against Dante. You see the fouls in the half. At 3-1 Clemson. Stroman forcing one. I believe he'll go back to the line as they will get Thomas on the block, his second personal. So we talk about the fact that Mitchell is so good midway through the lane, you've got to come out and defend him. And thus Thomas gets open underneath.
No doubt about it. And that's a good job of Stroman taking it right back in there to the big man, getting in close to the body of the big man. That's what a guard's got to do.
Stroman a point away from matching their team high in this game as he now has 13. Bartley leads them with 14, but he's been quiet here in the second half. And Marcus Stroman now 9 out of 10 from the foul line. So he's done most of his damage, but when you're a good assist guy, that oftentimes means you're going to get to the line because they'll try to get you before you distribute. Scara tried to dribble to some room around Marchetti. Tigers now work it outside with Mitchell.
Clemson's been much more effective with the side pick and roll than they have the middle pick and roll, Pete. Really created some good shots at coming off the side pick and roll. Just like right there.
First personal on Stroman. Oh, a steal right there. A nice job by Bartley with only DeVoe to beat. And then Grantham from behind. Great job for the Cajuns to keep it, but Dante Grantham, a little double pump by Bartley. Those rarely go in. And then let's see, foul from behind. I believe they're going to get Bryce Washington. That'll be his fourth.
Great
job steal by Bartlett.
Great job stepping in by Bartlett. Good anticipation and then good hustle by Dante Grantham. Came back. Washington saved the ball. We got Clyde Trapp in the game now, giving Mitchell maybe his first blow of the game. Has he been out yet?
He's played extended minutes today, has Shelton Mitchell. 25 of the nearly 28 minutes in this game, Mitchell was on the floor.
I think Clyde Trapp's got a great future for this Clemson team.
Yeah,
He's done a good job.
Yep. Whereas Sims has been the freshman who's made the most impact. I think Trapp, as the year goes on, will see his role increase, helping to add some depth to the backcourt. Little runner that time, DeVoe. Bodies flying, no whistle. The Tigers make it a 15-point lead once again.
I'll tell you, Louisiana's doing a much better job stepping out there and putting pressure at the point of the ball, and Clemson's doing what they have to do, put it on the floor and go by them.
Trapp came into the game. Stroman, who like Trapp is from Columbia, went to the bench, but that would be a battle of Keenan against Lower Richland when Stroman's back out there. But they're going to say the foul was on Donnell before the shot. Mark Donnell picks up his third. Doesn't seem to matter at this point, though. Tigers in control. Along with Jim Davis, Pete Hannity with you back in Littlejohn Coliseum. Tigers looking like they're on their way to an 11th win on the season. Dante Grantham doing all kinds of great things. He reached 1,000 points in his career. He's not only been rebounding, but rebounding and scoring.
Rebounding and scoring. This is 3 great tap-ins right here. Great positioning inside right there. He's got some bounce in those legs of his, so he's just having an outstanding game.
And you see the Tigers as a team, and Louisiana for that matter, doing their share of good work on the boards. Dante Grantham now 17, his season high, matches his career high. He had 22 points against Hofstra earlier this year, so he's got a chance to, on a day that he got to a wonderful career milestone, also maybe reach his career high. And Mark Donnell picking up foul number 4.
Mark Donnell is just a hard luck player. That was his 4th foul, and that was nothing more than a touch, if that.
He's just kind of, the fouls have kind of come to him, so to speak.
Right, that's a good way to put it.
Bartley trying to get back in a groove like he showed in the first half. Breaks down Grantham. There's Scar on the rebound.
Great defense, Grantham. Great defense on the dribble drive.
And away from the ball, you had Miller and Thomas scrapping, and that will go against Justin Miller, 3rd. So Donnell, not the kind of ball game he wanted to have before he heads home to the Toledo, Ohio area, where he'll tell you, even if there's snow on the ground on Christmas Day, they've got all the family over, they'll still go outside and shoot hoops in the driveway. Let's clear the snow away from the driveway. That's life up that way, I guess. Thomas putting the ball on the floor. Miller trying to stay with him. Not going to happen.
Well, I said earlier, Coach Brownell probably didn't want Elijah to put the ball on the floor, but he might want Elijah to put it on the floor if he ends like that.
Elijah might go to the coaching staff and say he wants to try out for point guard after that. Russell from way downtown.
That was downtown up there.
He's another one of their good three-point shooters, 47%. They're trying to pick up the pace from beyond the arc, but they're still just 4 out of 14. Tigers are 6 out of 14 in the ball game on threes.
Gabe DeVoe had his hand in his face that time too. That was under some pressure.
A nice reverse pass by Thomas. Give him the assist as Trapp knocks down his first 3 attempt. Stroman for Miller. And Miller finishes up. We told you earlier he finished his high school career in the upstate playing at an institution called 22 Feet Academy. I'm not so sure they're still in operation, but that's where he wrapped up his career. But Miller finished the other part of high school in Owensboro, Kentucky. He was on a state title team, and you see him down low trying to not get schooled again by Eli Thomas like he did moments ago, but maybe right there, but instead Elijah's going to get called for the foul. So that was the Grinch part of Elijah Thomas today, but here is the wonderful seasonal part. The kind we smile about.
Step back hesitation dribble there, then blew by him.
Thomas now 3 personals in the game.
Amir Sims gives Elijah a little blow.
A little spin by Stroman. Now the 5. And Stove knocks down the tray. Jonathan Stove. 1 out of 2 today, and now a mere 2 out of 13 on the season beyond the arc for the senior.
Heating it up here. This Louisiana team is. We know they can score, don't we, Pete?
Yeah, Tigers have been hovering around a 20-point lead at times today, but now just down to 12. Scara kind of got caught in the air. And Sims right there. Trapp once again from downtown. Clyde Trapp, the freshman, sees it and takes it. He was just 2 out of 3 on three-pointers coming into the game, but he's knocked down a couple here in the last minute. Stroman, no. Here's DeVoe.
Good help defense by Gabe.
Scara!
Nice pass.
And he'll go to the line. So Louisiana's last couple of threes have come from way downtown. That one by Stove over in the corner after Russell had hit one beyond the arc. But how about Clyde Trapp?
I'm telling you, he came off that bench, and Coach Brownell really speaks highly of Trapp. He thinks a lot of that young man, and I'll tell you, he's making a believer out of me.
And they're going to call that an intentional foul. And so it'll be free throws for David Scara, and then the ball for the Tigers. As they got Bartley on the intention. So Bartley having a frustrating second half as he picked up the personal. I believe that's just his first in the game. I already had him for one. Now they do go ahead and update it. So 2 fouls on Bartley. And you see what happened. I guess it almost seemed like he was grabbing him to help him.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that either, but those guys know what they're doing.
Just like that, back out to a 16-point Tiger lead. With a couple of early lead changes, but Clemson's been pretty much in control since about the 12-minute mark of the opening half. Russell saves it from going out. Miller tried to get it inside. Goes over Scara. Grantham once again. Boy, Dante Grantham. To go with a 17-point game, he's getting close to 10 rebounds, too. He's got 7 in the ball game.
He's solid on defense as well. He's just playing a very good all-around game.
Scara crossover. And Gant contesting. That was Miller on the rebound. I think they're going to get DeVoe for a third personal foul.
I'm really impressed with Scara, how he can cross the basketball over, gets his shoulders by that defender, gets to the rim very well. I don't think a foul 94 feet from the basket pleases Coach Brownell very much. When the official can carry the ball from one end to the other, shoves the Mitchell back into the game.
And Brad saying exactly to Gabe DeVoe what you were just mentioning.
Allowing them to catch up with the clock, or to score with the clock not running.
Miller this season from the line as the Tigers have Louisiana in the 1-and-1 bonus. 74% free throw shooter for the Kentucky native. Sophomore on this team. They've got a group of seniors that'll be moving on, all who contribute. So Miller, one of the building blocks to their future. Tigers led by 15 at the break.
A little diamond press here. 1-2, 1-1.
Calm by Grantham, and now he gets it back. And Mitchell wide open from the wing.
That's a problem sometimes when you run your full court press. Converting into a half court defense sometimes is an issue.
You tell Dante Grantham knew that's the find he would have. Russell hits a second straight three for him.
Great shooting for him. Straight up, straight down. Very nice.
Freshman out of Alexandria, Louisiana, but a very highly regarded player from one of that state's high school powers at Peabody Magnet. Trapp looking to add to his scoring in the second half. He's come off the bench and scored 8 points.
Look at that freshman.
So the freshman against freshman, Russell for Louisiana, Trapp for the Tigers. That's the matchup over there, top of your screen. They each wear the number 0. Scar, another rebound. Trapp thought about it. Sims going to try a 3 out front. Can't get it to go. And Amir Sims, 2 out of 9 beyond the arc. Once again, Russell over Trapp. That's not going to fall.
Trapp had a hand in that face at that time. He really jumped at him quickly, and Coach Brownell is letting Amir Sims know that wasn't the shot that he's looking for. Switching on the side pick and roll.
He's shown the ability to handle the ball. He'll take it himself. Got the bouncer to gentle on down off the rim. David Skora now in double figures, 11 points so far. At 17 when he was playing for Valpo against Indiana South Bend for his career high. A steal by Grantham, and as he tried to run it out of there, the foul by Miller. That's a good one despite the fact he picks up his fourth, but the Tigers would have had a quick two on the other end. Timeout on the court. Clemson meeting Louisiana for the first time. Cajuns may not want to come back. Tigers up by 18, under 6 to go. Shelton Mitchell scored 10 points apiece in the past two games against Florida and South Carolina, but he has been making it happen offensively today.
He really is. He's 11th in the ACC in both assists per game and assist turnover ratio. But he's doing a great job controlling the tempo of the game and creating shots for his teammates, and he can knock down the long-range three as well.
15 points so far for the Tiger Jr. out of Waxhaw, North Carolina, and to go along with that, he has 6 assists. He's been distributing the ball real well so far this year, just under 5 a game.
You know, he's not shooting the ball as well from the field as he did last year, Pete, but he's doing so much more.
And Reed almost lost it. Good idea by Dante, and now the reach-in foul will be called against Malik Marchetti. That'll be his second. And now the Cajuns have put the Tigers in the 1-1 bonus.
That's a great job by Elijah, using his body to protect that passing lane, and Grantham picking that passing lane perfectly.
Thomas goes to the line to shoot the 1-1. Tends to take his time when he stands there, and he's now 3 out of 3 in the game. You've talked about it with me before on telecast. Entry pass to a big man. Do you not like the bounce, or do you prefer the bounce?
Love the bounce. The defender's strong point is up high where his hands are. So I love the bounce pass to feed the post. Don't like a bounce pass on the perimeter because it takes too long to get there. I want some zip on that two-hand chest pass.
First miss of the day from the line for Thomas. He's now 3 out of 4, but still is one of the Tigers in double figures with 11.
Clemson with a little token pressure there, trying to slow down that fast-paced Louisiana offense.
Inside, and good job that time once again, making an impact by Elijah Thomas.
They came out of the timeout there with that zone, but I bet they go right back to their man-to-man on the next possession. Let's see.
Reed. And Marquise Reed was due for one of those games where he didn't have to carry the burden. He's got 8 points so far. Nice drive to the bucket by Stroman. Instead, opts for the corner. Probably wishes he tried the reverse. It was a tough day continues for Jakeenan Grant, who had a double-double in his past 2 games, including 14 points and 12 rebounds last time out against Southeast Louisiana. But he is struggling today. Just 4 points and just 2 rebounds for former Missouri player who's their best talent. A little baby hook that time. Not going to give it.
Good job swinging the ball from one side to the other there by Clemson, moving the defense, creating that one-on-one opportunity for Elijah.
Stroman couldn't get that 3 to go. And Thomas wins the battle of the boards. Quickly ahead, DeVoe! And the foul will be called. I think Gabe, halfway in the air, thought about throwing it down. Instead, he'll settle for a trip to the line. Have matched their biggest lead of the game of 19 points. They've held Louisiana nearly 4 minutes without scoring themselves with defense like this.
Great job. He didn't block that shot, but he certainly altered it and then read it. We had 3 on the defensive boards there. Dante Grantham got the ball out. I don't like him dribbling the ball with his back to the defense. That's one thing that he did there that I don't think Coach Brownell would approve of either.
Like Marquise Reed, a relatively quiet day scoring-wise for Gabe DeVoe, but he now has a half a dozen as he gets the friendly pre-Yuletide roll. And the Tigers have their biggest lead of the game.
All right, let's see off the made free throw here if they go into that containment press there, the 1-2-2 press. Looks like they might. 2-2-1 actually.
Oh, 78% on the season from the line and perfect in his first 2 attempts.
Once again, not trying to trap out of it, just trying to slow them down, run some time off the clock.
Russell. And after making a couple, he's missed his pass too. A little lob, and Thomas says Merry Christmas.
Hello.
You could see that coming, and the guys will tell you when they get to about the midcourt line, they have a pretty good idea if they're going to alley-oop or not. And that time, the decision was firm and the right one. Elijah Thomas now getting close to the team lead. He's got 13. Grantham leads away with 17, and Mitchell is 15.
That's what we call nonverbal communication. When they make eye contact like that, that means look out, here we come, big guy.
Tigers trying to build on what is a 9-0 run.
Good player movement, good ball movement.
No for DeVoe, yes for Elijah.
Another offensive putback. Second chance opportunity.
Thomas now at 15 points and has 5 rebounds. The work he's done on the glass, you'd think he might have a bigger number than that. Boy, this is just a thing of beauty right here.
It is indeed. Marquise, that's a perfect pass. And the big guy gets up and throws it down. You got to love that. Look at that. Great hands.
That time the foul against Elijah Thomas. So he now has 4 in the ball game.
How many times has Stroman been to the line tonight?
Ask a question that is a good one. It seems like we've seen him there a lot. We have, and he's been pretty successful. He's now 10 out of 11 from the line, and that free throw allows him to match his career high of 15, and that came against Richmond down in the Cayman Islands in a tournament they played in earlier this year. Looks like the day is done for Thomas and also Marquise Reed. So Stroman, the Columbia native, with a chance to get his career high in his home state, and he does. 16-point ball game. So something to remember about a trip to the upstate. His first game in this building, because even though he was with South Carolina 2 years ago, they played the Tigers over in Greenville that year. No for Grantham, one of the few things that hasn't gone right for him today. Stroman, a little step through, a little dipsy-doodle, nothing happening. Malik Williams just in with the rebound.
I believe that was another block shot by Dante Grantham. Well, it didn't take him long.
No, A.J. Oliver feeling it right off the bench, and the freshman on what's been a good day for his classmate Clyde Trapp, getting in the scoring column quickly. Stroman, we told you he's a pass-first guy, and that time he flicked it over in the corner, but it won't go down for Davis inside Stahlcup, and he'll go to the line. So A.J. Oliver, boy, before we could even tell you that he was in the game.
Sharing the basketball once again. Gabe DeVoe spotted him wide open, and he buries it.
Oliver now 3 out of 9 from beyond the arc in his Clemson career.
When I asked Coach Brad Brunell about Oliver, when he signed, he said he can really shoot the basketball.
Nice hand for Dante Grantham on a day that he passed 1,000 points in his career, and Shelton Mitchell, who continues to tough it out, still coming back from that offseason knee surgery, and I think that everyone realizes he may not get to 100% this year just because of the wear and tear of the schedule. But the Tigers have pretty much been able to clear their bench. Scott Spencer has checked in. So has Trapp, and Sims is back out there, and they'll be run up for the travel. We saw Sims in the opening half.
It was funny. I was in the training room the other day, and Shelton Mitchell was in there.
Yeah.
And they were talking about him having old man knees.
Yeah. Bob Marlin, you see the head coach, he just got a fellow employee with Clemson ties. You may know that last week Billy Napier got his first head coaching job. A former Clemson assistant coach and one-time Clemson offensive coordinator. He had been at Arizona State and had just gotten a promotion to assistant head coach under Herm Edwards, the new head coach out in Tempe, but the opportunity came up with the Ragin' Cajuns. So Billy Napier is now a head coach. Another one of the former Tiger offensive coordinators to take over a program. Of course, Chad Morris now in his second. How about the nice recovery that time? And Scott Spencer gets into the scoring column. And I got to tell you, the Sun Belt Conference also includes Appalachian State, so Napier will be taking a team up there at some point soon. And that's where, of course, he had that infamous moment when he was playing football at Furman. Look at Oliver with the steal back in 2002. Google it if you don't know what I'm talking about. But I've always thought that's kind of funny that if he ever was in a situation he had to go back there, well, he will. And this time trying to get a win as a head coach. Spencer off the bench, and he drains a tray. Tigers from three-point land at right around 50% here this afternoon. An 89-60 ball game. Clemson's 11 out of 24 beyond the arc. And from the field, doing good work, too, for the game. 57%. And this one's going to wind down as a 29-point victory for the head coaches, Brad Brownell and Bob Marlin. Third time they've actually gone against each other, and now Brad has won 2 of the 3.
Ironically, we said something had to give. Louisiana averaging 88 points a game, Clemson holding their opponents to 62. Clemson wins with holding their opponents to 60 today.
So the Tigers had the beat going from the time Gabe DeVoe hit an early 3 all the way through. 89-60 the final. Clemson improves to 11-1, now gets ready for ACC play. Louisiana falls to 10-3. Hope you have a great Christmas, my friend.
You too, Pete. Merry Christmas.
On behalf of Jim Davis and our entire crew, we wish you a Merry Christmas. Pete Hannity saying so long from Littlejohn. This has been a presentation of ESPN.